Hi, this is Trevor Conquergood. Welcome to this week's RNK Software Club's video for the week. And the topic for this week is about presets. Do you know about presets and do you use them? They can really make life awesome. And so I'm going to go ahead and pop over to my FTCU software and show you all about presets. Now, the first thing I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to have some kind of artwork on my screen that I can convert into embroidery. So I'll just pop up my custom shapes library and open up this little image of a bear. And now, a preset is when you come down to a tool, so such as the Motif Fill. If I click on it, you get the default setting. We all get the same default setting. It's always pattern number 209 with the size of 5 and the stitch length of 2.5. But of course, you know that you can come in here and say, oh, I think I'll use a different pattern and change its size, to be whatever size and pattern that you want to. You can also combine two patterns and make something totally different. And if you make something like this and you're like, man, that's cool, I love that, I want to always have this, and I don't want to forget how I made it. So that is where the preset comes in. If you make your own sort of settings, so really the tool is the Motif Fill, but what made it extra cool was when you mix two patterns together and changed the size and did whatever you can set in any of the different tabs in the properties box can be saved. And it's called a preset. And so the way that you would do that is you would come to the tool that you use to make this, the Motif Fill, and you would right click. And look, there's a whole bunch of them here that I've got. These are ones that I often use. So for example, I right-clicked. If I wanted to apply one that I've made, like this double diamond, I click on it. And so now you can see my double diamond motif pattern, which I loved and wanted to save. If I click undo, I can go back to the one that we just made. And again, I'm going to click on that shape to select it. And I'm going to come down to the tool and right-click to show at the bottom of the list. Sorry, right-click at the very bottom of that list. There's to save a preset or to remove a preset. So if I choose Save Preset, it's going to allow us to give it a name. So we'll call it the Today preset and say OK. And it tells me that it was successfully saved. And so now at any point in time, if you are designing and you've got some kind of a shape on your screen and you come down and right click on the tool, you can choose Today. And it will give you that exact same pattern at that exact same size with any of the settings that you'd set. And so that's kind of something that's really cool about the Floriani software, is the ability to make a preset. And it's not just the Motif tool. Any of your tools can have a preset. If you right click over Standard Fill, it looks like I've got one here. And sometimes what I'll change, so for example, if I just select the apple and click on Select, then the default settings come up, right? So the default settings is pattern number 1, stitch length of 3.5, density of 5, underlay is set at perpendicular, pull compensation is set at 0, etc., etc. And every one of these tabs are settings that you can control. If you always put on 0.2 pull comp, you can put it on. If you normally a contour underlay, you can put that on. And so now you're like that. And if you normally use pattern fill number 2, and you have all that set on this one apple, while that apple is selected, you could right click over top of the standard fill and say Save Preset and call this one contour plus parallel, and what else did I do? Pattern 2. Maybe the name's kind of long, but it tells me exactly what it is. So if I select the bear and I'm like, I want the bear just like that apple, I come to standard fill, I right click, and it's called contour plus parallel and pattern 2. Boom. And so that's a cool thing. Anyway, I love the presets. You'll find that everyone, if you make this a run stitch, well, if you right click, backstitch was a built-in preset. So notice if I choose backstitch, that one's there. But notice the other ones I have, 3mm double, okay, those are ones that I made. So that's a 3mm stitch length with a double run stitch as the setting, right? See, double run at 3. So I saved it because sometimes I like to reuse them, and you might have settings that you would like to reuse. And so another thing before I let you go for today is that it's easy to share your presets. When you look under your Tools drop-down menu, down at the bottom, you'll find an option to export presets. There's also export assets. So let's not confuse the two. We'll talk about assets in another day, but assets and presets are different. Presets are what we talked about today. The ability to create a default, an additional sort of setting that's saved for every tool. And if you've been making them and you choose export, it'll bring you all of your ones. Look, I have 2 satin ones. I have a bunch of standard fills. I have a bunch of motif fill ones. I've got run stitch ones, steel stitch ones, auto stippling ones. And if I wanted to send them to you, I need to sort of like check them all or decheck them all and just check the ones that I want to send to you, so I can hold down my control key to sort of select them at random. Click again to unselect them and select another one. Don't hold down control and select as well. So it's just like basically one click to turn them blue, another click to turn them unblue. You don't have to hold down any control keys. Sorry, I was confused about that. I don't do this every day, but I'm doing it now to show you guys that you can share your exports. So if you're a teacher and you've got a set of presets that you want your students to have, you create a little set, a little file called export presets. And so if I came in and found the one that we made for the motif, that was called today, so it must be right there. Oh, missed it. Sorry. Motif Fill, and I did select it today. If I click export, it brings me right to the folder in my computer, wherever I want to save it to, and it becomes a PRE file, right? So the format is .PRE. And so if you have one of these, if somebody sends you one, then you can go Tools and import presets. And now you'll select that PRE file that you saved, and then that'll allow you to bring in those presets. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll do another one about assets in the future so that we can learn about assets, but just to tell you how they're different. Assets are things like workspaces, fonts, custom shapes, color palettes. If you create your own custom color palette, you can share it with your friends, and that's called an asset. Anyway, you guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening, and bye for now.